get started. So this is our problem. Like we have got activities A to Q, and node links are given here, and the immediate predecessor and immediate successor. All these things, remember, like the same network diagram we've been taking from the beginning for clarity. And one important thing is that when we construct a network diagram, we only have the activities and predecessor and successors and events, but in for doing or analyzing the network, you need to know the duration of each activities. Okay, this is pretty much the same. Right? So activity A to Q. A consumes 2 days and B consumes 4 days, so on. And O consumes 9 days and Q consumes 2 days. So all these things are individual activity duration, right? So the total duration, I mean, the sum of all the activities is 73. Right. So that's 73, but it's not a project duration. It is the summing of all the activities, right? So the project duration is the longest period, longest chain of events. So that's what we call a critical path, and that is the project duration, right? So that is what we're going to find the objective of this particular example one, right? Same network diagram. It's an activity on arrow diagram, and arrows are represented from left to right, and start event and end event. Above arrow is activity A, activity B, G. So activity names are given above the arrow, and hence the name activity on arrow. Below the arrow, it's the durations, like duration of activities. A, B is 4, G is 3, something from this table. Right? From this table, this is given. And sometimes only this table will be given. You have to formulate a network diagram. Then you have to solve for the longest path or using critical path method, right? So as simple as that, right? So this is our well-known example, and we've been using this from the beginning. So it will be useful for you to understand CPM using this, right? Next step is this is not actually the practice. This is just an a hint, or you can even use this as a sanity check after you complete a problem, whether your answer is correct or not. Right? So what does that mean is, like many of you or almost all of you were aware of the game called Maze. Like in a newspaper you have seen, in a magazine, like there'll be a bear here and a honey here. So it's just like you need to find out a route for bear to reach the honey, or a person and food, or something like that. No, so you'll be only one route will be accessible. Rest of the route will be blocked. So you need to find out using a pen to traverse the route to from and to, right, something like that. But here it's almost a maze, but it is in fact almost all the paths will lead to the destination. But our objective is to take look into the longest path, which means that the path that adds up to activity durations, which is higher. Say, for example, you take this thing. Let's define the possible paths from 1 to 10. So the possible paths from 1 to 10 are is 1 to 2, and 2 to 4, 4 to 7, 7 to 9, and 9 to 10. So this being the simplest, the straight forward path, right? Say this is pretty much an example. Or if you want to take 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 10, right? So this is also an path. Or if you want to take 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 6, instead of going forward, you can bend down 6 to 7, and 7 to 9, and 9 to 10 also. Or 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 6, instead of this either paths, you can take this 6 to 4, because the arrow is pointing towards this. We can take 6 to 4, 4 to 7, and 7 to 9, and 9 to 10. You cannot go back to any of this because all the arrows are emerging out. So you can only travel from tail to head of the arrow, right? Or it is 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4 directly, then 4 to 7, 7 to 9, 9 to 10. So this is a one path. Or if you want to go downwards, like 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 8, 8 to 9, and 10, can reach this destination. Or 1 to 2, and then 2 to 5, 5 to 8, 8 to 7, 7 to 9, and 9 to 10 also. Or 1 to 2, 2 to 5, and 5 to 7, 7 to 9, 9 to 10. Or even 1 to 2, 2 to 5, and 5 to 4, 4 to 7, and 7 to 9, and 9 to 10. So all these things are possible paths. There are totally 9 possible paths. Uh, and the longest one is one that is here highlighted in red. 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 4, 4 to 7, 7 to 9, 9 to 10. And it adds up to 33 duration. Right? So the total duration of this path is 33. And if we can take a look at all the other or a little lesser, sometimes that could be 32 also, but we need to take the largest extreme uh, value. Like that is what basically the critical path method. Sometimes we might have got both values together. Both paths can have the same duration, and both of them are higher also. So we can have multiple critical paths also. But for this problem, there's only one critical path like this. So this is just a sanity check. It's not for calculation, just to show you this is the longest path duration, right? So technically, longest path is the critical path, but it is not only that. So those paths also, correlates to the total duration. The entire duration for this project is 33 days. So the longest path determines the duration of the project. Right? Say from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 4, 4 to 7, 7 to 9, 9 to 2 is 33. So this is a critical path. And all the activities that are in the critical path is called critical activities. That's why it is called critical activities. The reason it is called as critical activities is that those activities will not have any float time. They do not have any buffer time or zero buffer, which means they don't have any time to relax. They have to finish the project. Those activities has to be completed at the stipulated time, not more or not less. So as simple as that. Once you take a much longer for the completion of the critical activities, then your project gets delayed. And once you finish early, it may not be a serious thing, but it is not possible because since it's have a zero buffer, how can someone can finish it early or something unless otherwise an extra manpower is put in or something like that. So those kind of a concepts is what basically is a critical path and critical activities, right? So this is the sanity check. You can do it at the end to verify your answer is correct, but this is not a CPM. It's not a critical path method. So this is a sanity check. So this is the critical path method. Say first, what you do is you make up this diagram in pencil. Then you erase the even times, and you can make up something like this. Right. So I'll explain that. First is the forward pass computation. We will go from left to right. Right. So in a forward pass computation, we know earliest time of the event and earliest start time. Once we know earliest start time plus the duration will give us earliest finish time, right? So those three things we will be finding in a forward pass computation, right? So don't worry. So in a forward pass computation, first we'll be finding at the event occurrence time, or it is also known as earliest event occurrence time, EI values, right? Say take up the same diagram. You don't have to draw multiple diagrams, single diagram. Just like I have provided as a step by step so you can understand much better. And I've just taken this particular example and I just you cannot call bifurcated, trifurcated the nodes into three. First half was the event times. So above this bubble, no, that I can zoom in much better so you can understand. In the three, in the single node gets trifurcated, and above one is the event time, so it's not for computation, it's the event time, I mean not time, it's event number, and this is the EI of this event one, right? So EI and LI of this thing, particular thing, right? So let me take a look at that. Right, so observe this for a moment. I'll just let you know. We'll be doing in a couple of minutes later. All right. So event 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, 7 until 10, right? So it's activities and beneath is the duration part. So EI, earliest, how early event 1 can start is 0. Which means it can start instantaneously. Or in other words, all the start event will have 0 as the earliest event. So remember that, right? So which means that it starts instantaneously. It does not have to wait for anything else previous to that, right? So it starts instantaneously. Then once you find even time for 1, you can find even time for 2. So even 2 starts only after activity A gets over. In other words, 0 plus 2 will give us 2. So that is why for event 2, we have got 2 here. Right? So I repeat, event 1 starts instantaneously, and event 2 starts after activity A gets over. Activity A has 2 days of duration. So event 2 should wait till the 2 days gets completed. So that's why it starts on the end of second day. So that's as simple as that. That's why it is 2 here. Or you can even simply, like a calculation, it is 0 plus 2 is as simple as. Then let's take a look at the other activity, which is activity B, right? So B depends on activity A, right? So which means that the earliest event of initial event of B is 2. The time for that is also 2. So do not confuse this 2 with this 2. This is the duration, right? This is a number. And B can start only after activity A gets over, or this thing, right? This 2. So which means that end event of B, which is 3, what is this duration? How early event 3 can start is that 2 plus 4. It can start at 6. Right? As simple as that. Right. So I repeat. Start event of B is 2. End event of B is 3. Right. So 2 plus 4 gives us 6. So which means that at the 6th day, the event 3 can start, which means that it has to wait till 2 plus 4, 6. It has to wait A and B, right? So unless A and B is over, this cannot get started, right? So next is C. C also has to wait like 2 plus 3 is 6, something like that. All right. Then you can take a look at here. This is D. Why we don't put 6 here is we can take a look at that here. Like as of now, C. This end event of C is 2 plus 3, which is 5. Actually, 5, not 6, 5. Right. Then if you see this particular thing, it has dependencies from 3 to 4 and 6 to 4 and 5 to 4. So it means that it has got almost 4 dependencies. This thing 4 to 7 is leaving, right? So we don't take it into consideration in a forward pass. In a forward pass, we'll be looking into the arrow that are emerging or pointing towards that event, right? So which means that 2 plus 3 is 5 here. Then 6 plus 2 is 8. And you can need to calculate this thing plus this thing, and that will be here. Or this thing plus 4 will also be here. So which means that the maximum of that will be the earliest event of 4. I repeat, event 4 has to wait till activity F, C, E, and H gets over. So for that, we need to know, we know here 6 plus 2 is 8 and 2 plus 3 is 5, but we are not pretty sure here, like what plus this is here and also what plus this is here. So that first we'll take a look at D. So it is 2 plus 5 is 7, right? So 7 plus 4 is 11, right? So 2 plus 3 is 5 and 5 plus 7 is 12. I beg your pardon, 7 plus 4 is 11 and 6 plus 2 is 8. And we also take a look at here. It is 6 plus 3 is 9. Then 9 plus 6 is 15, right? So out of this, I think 15 is the largest. This is just 7 plus 4 is 11. Then 9 plus 6 is 15. So that's why we have got 15 here. So the logic is that event 4 has to wait unless all the activity gets over. Unless all the activity gets over. I mean, all the activities pointing towards that getting over. So it will be H gets over only after 15. So 9 plus 6. 9 is the initial event duration and H duration is 6. And 9 plus 6 is 15. So that's how event 4 has to wait till 15. This is the only trickiest part here. Otherwise, it's all pretty common. The next is we have finished 4 and we have finished 5 and 6. Next, we'll go to 7. But if you take a look at 7, 7 also is similar to this. It depends on 9 plus 1 is 10 here, or 15 plus 7 is 22, and 7 plus 4 is 11. And this also we need to find for J. This thing. For this is only, this is dependency. It is 7 plus 3 is 10. You can take a look at this 10. Then when you take a look at everything, out of this arrow, this arrow, this arrow, this arrow, 22 is the maximum, which is 15 plus 7 is 22. Right. So this is maximum here. Then it's pretty simple. Like after 7, we can go to 8, or we finish this and go back to here. Then after this is 9. You see 9 has got 3 dependencies, N, O, and P. So N, O, and P. So out of this, 9 plus 6 is 15. Then 22 plus 9 is 31. Then 10 plus 8 is 18. So out of this, 31 is the highest, which is 22 plus 9. So that will be here. So that value is here. And then finally, there is only one dependency, 31 plus 2 is 33. Remember this 33? This is what our critical path, right? So this is a sanity check. So if you don't get this 33 or the critical path duration, then your computation is wrong, right? So for what we have done is we have just found out the earliest occurrence time, event occurrence time, right? So once we do that in a forward pass, then we'll go back to the activity duration, right? So earliest start time. So the next will be activity times in a forward pass. We'll be finding out earliest start time. Earliest start time plus the duration will give us earliest finish time, right? I repeat, earliest start time plus the duration of the activity will give us earliest finish time. We'll be only finding out the earliest start time. So we'll be finding out earliest start time. EST of this. EST will depends on EI of the initial event or LFT of the previous event, right? So since there is no LFT here, so we'll be looking at only the EI. I just quickly go to this and I'll let you know. In a forward pass, we'll be finding out EST of this thing will be depending on EJ and EFT, early finish time, right? So these two things we need to find. Whichever is maximum, that will be the EST of this. And same way for EST of this depends on EFT, EFT, and EK. So that's what we say. It's maximum of that. Once you find this, EST plus the duration will give us EFT. As simple as that. Same way in an activity, in an activity duration, there's no EFT. We only have 0. So which means this value is equals to EI, right? So EST of A is early start time of A is 0. Once you know this, you can find early finish time. 0 plus 2 is 2. So that is why early finish time of activity A is 2, right? Next is activity B. Early start time of activity B is that maximum of EI value, which is this value, and EFT of previous activity. So that is activity A. So that's what basically it means here. Right? Here both the values are same, so we'll end up with only 2, and 2 plus 4 is 6. Then here also maybe you can take a look at activity C. It is 2 or 2. It is 2. Both the cases are the same. And similarly, 2 plus 3 is 5. And similarly for D also it is the same. Like either this or this, both are same. It is the same. And 2 plus 5 is 7. Right. Then we can go to E. E depends on B. Either 6, so it will also be 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Then for F, it is both are 7, so it is 7 plus 4 is 11. Right, so we'll take a look at G or 6, which is 6 or 6. This is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9. And here also is both are 9, so it will be 9, 9 plus 6 is 15. And let's take a look at I. I depends on 1, 2, 3, 4, or C, E, F, and H. I repeat, I activity depends on C, E, F, and H, right? So early finish time of C is 5. Early finish time of E is 8. Early finish time of F is 11. And early finish time of H is 15, right? So this is 15. And the earliest event of 4 is also 15. So among this, the maximum value governs, right? So the maximum value is 15. So that's why I is 15. It could be either EST of, EFT of this or EI value. Then 15 plus 7 is 22. And next is J, which is 7, 7 here and 7 here. 7, 7 plus 4 is 11. Then another 7 here because 7 and 7 here. 7 plus 3 is 10. Then M value, it is 10, 10. So it will be, or can we finish this? 9 and 9 is 9, 9 plus 1 is 10. And 10 and 10, it will be 10, 10 plus 4 is 14. And if you take a look at O, kindly pay attention here. O depends on M, J, I, and L. All these 4 arrows are pointing towards this event. So which means those are dependent of O, right? So 10, 22, 22, 11, and 14. Out of this, the maximum is 22. It could be this or the EI value. So first we'll finish this. Then 22 plus 9 is 31. Then activity 8 depends on, activity P depends on K. So it is 10 and 10. So it will be 10. 10 plus 8 is 18. And Q depends on NOP. Q depends on NOP. 15, 31, 18, and 31. So the maximum is 31. So this is 31. Then 31 plus 2 is 33. Remember, this 2 has to be same. This 2 has to be same. And that is the final sanity check after activity duration. Event time and activity last early finish time of activity. The last activity has to be earliest event occurrence of the the last event. If both are same, then our entire computation is correct, right? So this is a simple network diagram. In a real practice, there might be thousands, 10,000 activities. So they use computers to calculate all this, but you should know the logic behind this. You need to know what is earliest start time, then how do you calculate earliest finish time, and what is meant by forward pass, what you will consider in a forward pass, or what you will get out of a forward pass. Is what you need to know at this point in time, right? So this completes the forward pass computation. Next, we'll be taking the backward pass computation, right? So the same thing. We'll retain event times, and also can even retain activity times in a forward pass. Clarity I have removed that, but you can, in an exam, you can use the same diagram from the start to end, and you can do all the forward and backward pass computation a single right? As simple as that, right? Right. So what you do is whatever is the earliest event occurrence of last event, you put it the latest event occurrence of last, because that's a termination event. So which means that that starts at that point and ends at that point also. That's the logic. So that's a project duration as well. So critical path duration. So you put whatever value you get here, and that will be the first point in the backward pass, or the last event, that will be the LI value, right? So that is 33 here. In a forward pass, we'll be subtracting. Remember, in a forward pass, we'll be adding the durations. In a backward pass, we'll be subtracting the duration. So many students make a mistake in the backward pass only, because it is kind of a pretty unconventional to calculate from the right to left. So left to right, we are pretty much comfortable, but right to left is a little bit difficult unless people who practice, right to left calculations or something like that. Like Vedic mathematics or Urdu or algebraic, Arabic kind of thing. If you don't have any practice on reading right to left, then it will be very difficult. But you can grasp the idea by practicing it. With a little practice, you can able to master this backward pass computation. Right. So first we'll be taking up the latest event occurrence time, LI values. Right. So L values of the event. Right. So there's 33. Then 33 minus 2 is 31. So that's how we got this 31 here. I repeat, 33 LI minus this duration gives 31 here. Right. In forward pass, say for example, this event 4. In a forward pass, we'll be looking into the arrows that are going out. Right. So 15 plus 7 is 22. In a backward pass, we'll be looking into the arrow that are leaving from that. Say for this example, for this event number 9, we don't worry about incident arrows, NOP, but we'll be worried about only Q in a backward pass, the arrows that are leaving from this event. So that is why we minus 33 by 2. not by anything else, like something like that, right? Next, we can go to P, is having two arrows leaving. You can see for P, this thing event 8 has got two arrows leaving. So we will be coming to that little later. Or even 6, event 6 has got two arrows leaving. So we'll be taking it later. But we can directly go to activity or event 7. It has got only one arrows leaving, which is 31 minus 9. Say that is how it is 22. 31 minus 9 is 22. So once we know this value, we can go this thing 6 or 8, because both 6 event and 8 event requires values of this nature 22. I repeat, there are two arrows leaving. Say, let's take a look at this 8. Right? Say, without any further ado, let's take a look at this 8. It has got two arrows leaving, like one is M and this one P activity. Then 31 minus 8 or 22 minus 4, whichever is minimum, that will be this. 31, we can even 31 minus 8 is 23. This is 22 minus 4 is 18, and probably this is 18. Right. So it's a minimum of this will be the value here. Right. So that's how we got 18 here instead of 31 minus 8. Right. So that's as simple as that. Next, we'll go back to here. But I beg your pardon, 6 has also have got H going here. Right. So it's not two arrows that are leaving, there are 3 arrows that are leaving. For that, you need to know this thing, this value, and only we can minus this duration with this duration. Right. Say, let's go to, I think I can do 5 because 5 is fairly same. 18 minus 3, or in this case, we can take a look at this thing and we can finish this and come back to this. This is 22 minus 7 is 15. Then once you know this, you can see 6 has got 3 arrows emerging. So in 6, there are 3 arrows emerging, which is 15 minus 6, which is 9. Then 22 minus 1, which is 21. Then 31 minus 6. I think 15 minus 6, 9 is the least value. So that will be here. Once we finish this, you can take a look at this here. I think for activity of event 5, there are 3 arrows emerging, F, J, and K. So the 3 arrows emerging out is F, J, and K. So out of that, it is 22 minus 4, which is 18. And 15 minus 4, it is 11. Then 18 minus 3 is 15. So I think it's 11, 15 minus 4. So that's the minimum value. Once we do that, the remaining portion is here. It is this thing, Li of 3. That depends on 15 minus 2 and 9 minus 3. Say 15 minus 2 is 30, 9 minus 3 is 6. So 6 is the minimum. So this will be 6. Once you know that, you see even 2 have got 1, 2, 3 arrows emerging out, leaving out. So 6 minus 4 is 2. 15 minus 3 is 12. And 11 minus 5, it is 6. So out of this, 6 minus 4 is 2. So that's the least value. We'll put it here. So once you do that, and finally, activity A, which has got 2 minus 2 is 0. Right? This is the event times. So another sanity check, I would like to inform you that you should get 0, 0 and critical path and critical path duration here. So if you have that, then your answer is fairly correct. Right? So in a critical path method, we'll be having a fair computation. Right? So simple as that. And for computers, does not make mistake, but humans does. When during exam or a pressure, if you mess up with any one, instead of like you don't take 18 and you substitute 31 minus 8, then entire computation goes wrong. And it will not give you perfect result. So kindly pay attention in terms of, it's just basic arithmetic. But only thing is, in a backward pass, we'll be subtracting than adding. Subtraction is a little complex when compared to addition. So that's how it is. All right. So once we finish event times in a backward pass, we'll be going to activity times in a backward pass. In a backward pass, we'll be finding out only latest finish time. When you find latest finish time, we'll subtract the latest finish time with the duration of the activity. Will give us latest start time. So as simple as that, right? And before we go to activity times, let's define what is basically, this event times represent. If you take a look at this, activity 1 has got 0 and 0, 2 is 2 and 2, 3 is 6 and 6, and 6 is 9 and 9, and 4 is 15 and 15, 7 is 22, 22, and 9 is 31, 31, and 10 is 33, 33. Whereas others have got different EI and LI values. Those events that have the same earliest event and latest event is called critical events. I repeat, those that have got same, numbers in terms of EI and LI, those are called critical events, which means that you have to start how early is that duration, and also how late you can start is also the same duration. It is something like given a task immediately, 5 minutes is for everybody, which means that you start at that 5 minutes and end at that 5 minutes, something like that. So that is pretty much the hardcore idea of critical events, right? And if when you map the critical events, you can get the critical path. But the problem is that you cannot pretty much clearly state that, because you see 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, and 10 also have got almost same EI and exactly the same EI and LI. But you cannot call this as a critical path, remember? And also there's another path goes here and another path goes here. So there are a lot of paths that connects the critical events. But a fair idea of critical path you get only when you calculate the latest finish time or the event times, earliest event times, latest event times. So that's what we're gonna take a look at this now. So we'll be finding out latest finish time. That minus the duration will give us latest start time. Right. So what you do is LI. I'll just quickly run through that quickly as possible. Latest finish time is the minimum of LJ, minimum of this, and LST of this, and LST of next activity. So that's what basically it means by LFT. Once you find LFT, minus the duration will give us LST. Say as I repeat, to find LFT, latest finish time, it depends on LJ or LST of the next activities, whichever is minimum. Remember, it is not maximum, it is minimum. So that's what basically it's given here. Generally, out of pressure in exam, you might take maximum. Then your LFT may not be correct. So I'm repeating it again. LFT is the minimum of all. Or in other words, in a forward pass, we'll take maximum of stuff, plus we'll take an addition as a arithmetic computation. In a backward pass, we'll be taking a minimum of those and subtraction as the arithmetic computation. Right, so this is a backward pass, event times, and this activity time. So LI or LST, it does not have LST of the succeeding activity, so it stops with LI. So we'll substitute here LI, which is 33. Then we can find LST. LST is LFT minus the duration. 33 minus 2 is 31, right? Then we can go to activity P. Activity P depends on LI and LST. So both the cases 31. So we'll substitute 31. 31 minus 8 is 23. And next is I can take O, which is 31 and 31. Both also have the 31. 31 plus 31 minus 9 is 22. Then N, which is also 31 and 31. So it is 31. 31 minus 6 is 25. Then we can go to the remaining stuff like the M, which depends on 22 and 22. Two arrows that are pointing towards that. Then it's 22 minus 4 is 18. Then here is 21 minus 1 is 22 minus 1 is 21. Then 18 minus 3 is 15. And the process continues till the entire thing gets over, right? So this is the end of backward pass computation. And finally, if you are taken this very seriously, your exam, the answer will be this, right? So this is the network diagram, which has got earliest event time, latest event time for that particular event, and early start time and early finish time, late start time and late finish time for all the activities. Right? So an activity, kindly pay attention, an activity that has got same early start time and late start time, early finish time and late finish time, then those activities are called critical activities. Like for example, in this case, A has got both the things to be same. You see, LHS and RHS, and LHS to LHS is up, bottom and top are same. RHS top and RHS bottom is same. So if that's the case, in this case is not there, and in this case is also not there, and in this case is true, and in this case is not there, and in this case is not there. So if you map that, so it will be 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 6, and 6 to 4. It is actually the terminology got reversed, but it's actually 15 and 15 and 9 and 9, right? So 4 to 7 and 7 to 9, 9 to 10. So this activities are called critical activities. A, B, G, H, I, O, Q. And the path that connects those things are called critical path. So our objective is to find out the critical path. So this is something like 75% of your answer. The next step, what you have to do is we'll be finding out the float duration. So float duration. So this is the tabulation of all the things. Like I've just put 0, 0, 2, 2, and all. No, so all these things is given here. Event times. And this is the activity times, early start time, early finish time, or something. It is not necessary to do it in exam. If you have this diagram itself, is more than sufficient. Right. So for the clarity, I've just given it's a summary, earliest times and activity times, earliest times and latest times. Then followed by float duration. So this table is mandatory. Right. This table is mandatory. Total float, we define that using the latest finish my early finish, or latest start minus early start. So this is start float and end float. If you minus both the things, and whichever activity have got total float to be 0. Remember in a couple of minutes early, I just told you, and critical paths are the one which has got 0 float time or buffer time. So that is basically this. Say whichever has got total float to be 0, those activities are critical activities like A, B, and G, H, I, and O, and Q. So when you map that, that will be a critical activities. That's a total float. And free float, you can take up the formula, that formula which we have done, Lj minus EI. Let's take a look at the formula. Ej minus EI minus the duration, whereas the independent float is Ej minus Li minus the duration. And interfering float is total float minus free float. Like if you do it in Excel, you can probably find out the total float using this particular table. Once you have this this value and this value, you can find out this Ej minus EI minus duration, and Ej minus Li minus the duration, and this is total float minus free float. So that's independent interfering float. But total float has got a significant mean because 0 of that is corresponding to the critical activity. Whereas you can see sometimes I want to tell you this thing. Sometimes your interfering float can be negative, right? So buffer time cannot be negative. So in that case, you have to make that as 0 rather than the negative value, something like that. You understand? So luckily in this case there isn't that case, because most of the total float equals to free float, which means total float is greater than free float, which means we have got positive value. But sometimes we might encounter negative value as well, right? So in that case we need to put 0 instead of negative value, something like this float duration. And you see the critical paths are generally marked in red color, or if you have a highlighter, you can highlight it in the examination, the critical path, something like that. Right, so this completes that. subcritical path. So a very important concept in critical path is subcritical path. You remember in the previous case, I told you in this example, I'll just quickly run through this. In this example, there is something called 33. The next to that is 29, right? So next to that is 29, which means that if the critical path gets shortened, like say, for example, if it is shortened by 4 days, then it will become 29. So we'll have both critical paths or multiple critical paths. So that's what, like, the proximity of, the critical path becoming shortened, or in other sense, the non-critical path becomes larger. Like for example, in this case, if it's delayed by 4 days, then this will become 33. 29 plus 4 is 33. So this also will become a critical path. So which means that any path duration, any path that is proximately closer to the critical path is what our consideration is all about, right? So I repeat, whichever is proximately closer to a critical path is what we call a subcritical paths, and we need to know them. We need to know how far they're different, how far they are varying with the critical path. Some active, some paths, say in this example itself, say in this case it is 32, then you delay by 1 day, that will become critical. So which means that is pretty much more severe than having 4 to 5 days to become a critical path, right? So as simple as that. So I'll explain that. So subcritical path is one of the important thing. Maybe in some interviews, if it's a project management consultant, they can ask you about the subcritical paths, because in most of the textbooks they look into critical path and then they finish it, and then they only have a theoretical portion of the critical path. But knowing subcritical path is as equivalent as critical path, and you can label them as most critical, medium critical, and least critical. That's something like that. So it's a formula is that lambda, or you can even call any nomenclature. This is the standard notation, right? So alpha 2 minus beta. Alpha is the maximum total float in the network, whereas alpha 1 is the minimum total float in the network. Beta is the total float of that particular path, right? Whose criticality is to be calculated, right? So that, and this is for 100%, and you can put it convert this into this scale, like 1 plus 0.09 lambda. Then this will correlates to 10 point scale, something like that, right? And it will be 0 to 100, and 1 to 10 is the least critical to most critical. And what we do is we calculate the total float of all the paths, and then you see critical path has got no total float, 0 float. So that is why it is called critical path. If you have some value here, then there's a computation error or something like that. It's another sanity check. You can really do it to verify your answer. Then what you do is you arrange them based on the increasing order of the slack value. Like you'll arrange them based on the increasing order of the slack value, and 0 being the first, and 7, 8, 10, 12, 15, 16, 20, and 25, right? So the maximum float is, I think it's alpha 2, which is 25, and minimum is 0, and the beta is the float. This thing is the beta. So here it is alpha 2 minus beta, which is nothing but alpha 2 is 25 minus beta is 0, and divided by alpha 2 minus alpha 1, which is nothing but 25 minus 0, which is 25. So 25 divided by 25 is 1. 1 into 100 is 100%. In a 10-point scale is 10. So the rank is 1. So as there's no surprise that this is a critical path. So it has to be rank 1. The next is 7. Beta is 7. So alpha is 25 minus 0. 25 minus 7 divided by 25 minus 0, which is nothing but 72 into 100. No? So it is 72%. And next you substitute these beta values in the formula. You'll get different ranges, something like that, right? And we can take a look at in terms of scales from 1 to 10, something like that, right? So this is a 0%. So which means that ADKPQ, ADKPQ, this will never become a critical path because that has a huge buffer of 25. So you can relax almost a month time, like 25 is almost a month time. So you have that much time to relax and do that particular activity and stuff. So that's what basically that means, and that can never be called a critical activity. It has to almost wait for 25 months, you know, uh, sorry, not months, 25 days, to get into the severity of the critical part. So those are very huge when compared to the critical path duration, something like that, critical path vicinity, right? So this is the subcritical path, right? So I'll quickly run through a few concepts and before we find the cost away. This is the same example. This is the same example, but I've varied the durations. Maybe you can take a look at this. This notes is already uploaded in Google Drive. So after this class, you can take this as an example and you can solve it on your own. Whenever I say solve it, kindly do it. That will help you during your examination as well. Some data. So this is example number 2. We have got a kind of a modified durations like this. And then when you do this, you can see this path number 4, 6, 7, and 9. Almost all have the same number, 22. Not only that, that 22 is the maximum of all these, like all these path durations, right? So this is a typical example of a multiple critical paths, right? So in example 1, we talked about a single or unique critical path, whereas in example 2, it is we having a multiple critical paths, and you can fill this later. You can try to solve this, and this is how the paths are like. Okay. And also I've got example number 3. This kind of a more hypothetical or practically impossible, something like that. So when which all the activities can be a critical path. So this is a very, very interesting thing. All these paths can be having the same duration and have critical. So this is very hypothetical. So which means that you don't have to calculate total float at all. All total float of this is 0 and all of them are 100%. There's no subcritical paths at all. Right. So this comes to the end of today's lecture on critical path method.